What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. We're back doing another preview video for the Rugby World Cup 2023. I'm probably bombarding your subscription notifications at the minute. There's so many teams to go over. We've already done the preview video for France versus the All Blacks, Ireland versus Romania, and the Wallabies versus Georgia. This one is for England versus Argentina. This one is one of the bigger games going on this weekend. It's on a lot of people's radars. In the big prediction video I have out on the channel, I said this one for me is probably whoever wins this game goes on to top Pool D. I really think that's the truth. Maybe there's big arguments about whether whoever loses this might struggle to qualify. I really feel like Argentina and England are the two teams that are looking to qualify from this pool. But you guys, you know, we were disagreeing in the chat and stuff. We had a lot of conversations around Samoa and Japan, you know, given a bit of an upset in this one as well. So this game's a really big deciding factor in who gets out of Pool D, and more importantly, who goes on to top it, and then who you go on to play in Pool C when you get round to the quarterfinals. So as we do in these preview videos, we're going to have a run through of the team sheets that have been announced for both sides playing on this weekend, have a run through the teams, who we think some good picks, some bad picks, some thoughts on how we think this game might go, and finally, of course, giving a score prediction. If you enjoyed this video, remember to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all the latest rugby information, whether you just enjoy hearing about the teams, you don't have the time to look it up yourself, you want to know a bit about for the fantasy and stuff, just to know who's available for picks. It's all great information to have, and it's always just fun to have a bit of a chat about rugby, right? We all enjoy that. Although currently in my spare bedroom it is 31 degrees Celsius, so hit that like button, guys. I am suffering on your behalf. I've quickly gone and had a look who's being classed as the home team. England are being classed as the home team for this one, so we'll start out with the England team. Now they start out in the front row: Ellis Genge, Jamie George, and Dan Cole. Now England, of course, have had a bit of a rocky road to get here. They had the loss to Wales, they then beat Wales with 12 men, and then they lost to Fiji. They haven't ended their World Cup warm-ups in the best position, so they'll be needing to try and bounce back against an Argentinian team that's looking pretty good. They absolutely smashed Spain, so this is going to be the front row going up against an Argentina team that love getting involved in a scrum. They have done some chopping and changing. I think a lot of people actually are rating Joe Marler over Ellis Genge at the minute, but for me, the open running play that Ellis Genge offers and his ball carrying, I still think I'd prefer to start Ellis Genge, but I know a couple people do disagree with me on that one. In the lock department, Maro Itoje goes in alongside of Ollie Chesham for this one. Now, the line-out for Argentina, they've got some lads that enjoy getting in the air. They normally, you know, love that pairing of Alemano and Lavanini to get involved with the line-out. I'm not sure who I'd class as maybe having the stronger line-out. I would maybe lean slightly towards England in terms of their line-out, made up mainly because of their extra jumpers that they have in this back row. Courtney Laws there in that blindside flanker shirt. So nice to see him in this team. Also gets involved with that jumping in the line-out. I might lean slightly more towards England winning the line-out battle in this one, but we know, you know, how formidable that Argentina pack is. They don't need to win a line-out when they just nail you immediately afterwards after you have that line-out happen. Joining Courtney Laws in that back row then, Tom Curry and Ben Earl. Now, Tom Curry was coming back into this side. It was talking about where would he go? Because Billy Vunipola still out after his red card situation. He's got to miss this game. Does Tom Curry fill in at 8? Do they have Ben Earl at 8? They've gone for Tom Curry at 7, Ben Earl at 8. I personally prefer Tom Curry at flanker. Some people, again, disagree with that. That's fair enough. But I've always liked Tom Curry playing 7. I think it's where he performs at his best. Ben Earl going in at 8. He's a talented player around the park, and he gets involved in the jackal penalties and stuff. I think he can still do pretty much the same game from 7 or 8. So I don't think his game plan is affected too much. I think this is probably the better way around. It's probably how I would have gone about it as well. And I think at the minute, Ben Earl is still probably one of the standouts in this England team as they stand at the minute. So I think this is the right way around. I'm pretty happy with how they've gone for this 1 to 8. In the halfback partnership, though, Alex Mitchell goes in alongside of George Ford. Now, of course, no Owen Farrell, again, with the red card situation. So George Ford has been given the reins for this one. Again, what I expected. You know, it was Marcus Smith or George Ford. Who do they go for? It's a big team going against Argentina, experienced heads. I think George Ford will run the game a bit more professionally It's just about getting the win. I think Marcus Smith is a fantastic player in terms of looking to try and snipe, go, pick the ball off himself, picking some big passes. But sometimes you don't want to go wild. You don't want to go full out mega attack. Sometimes cool heads, organize yourself. And that's where I think George Ford is probably a better pick. And I see Alex Mitchell getting the start of this one, actually. I really thought they would lean towards someone like Danny Kerr. Again, just go for the experienced head. But then that knock-on that happened in that Fiji game did come from Danny Kerr. So Alex Mitchell starting this one. Hopefully he has a good game. In the centre partnership, Manu Tuilagi goes in alongside of Joe Marchant. Ollie Lawrence is on the bench for this one. There was a lot of talk around, could you go for the Manu Tuilagi, Ollie Lawrence, double smash tactics. They've gone for Tuilagi to start. I'm sure Ollie Lawrence will come on in that second half just to, reinforce that centre partnership again. Argentina love a good physical game, going up, getting those smashing tackles in. So I'm sure they'll enjoy Tuilagi running at them with a full head of steam. And then finally, in the back three, Elliot Daly on the left wing, Johnny May on the right wing, and Freddie Stewart at fullback. Now, this is an interesting one. Because I would really put them the other way around. I don't think I've ever seen Johnny May play right wing, or none that jumped to my head immediately as I'm filming this video. Whereas Elliot Daly, I actually think of him as playing on the right wing before he played a bit of fullback and then moved to centre. I would have put Elliot Daly on the right wing. So interesting, they've gone for this way around. I assume they're going for the matchup versus the Argentinian wingers. And thinking about how they're going to play. Maybe Elliot Daly slightly better under the high ball. They're getting ready for any crossfield kicks going that way. They prefer to have Elliot Daly on that left wing to mark up the Argentinian wingers, who we'll get onto when we talk about the Argentina team in a second. But there's certainly a big team coming in here for England. A lot of big names, a lot of talented players, but they've just not really clicked correctly ever since they lost Eddie Jones and they brought in the new management under Borthwick. It hasn't really felt like it's clicked quite how they want to. They've still got some good players here. It's going to be a tough old game going up against Argentina. In terms of the subs, really quickly then, Theo Dan, Joe Marler and Will Stewart. This is most likely who you'd be expecting to be coming on from there. Maybe you might have Will Stewart over Dan Cole to start, but Dan Cole's been doing perfectly fine. So, this is a good replacement front row. Theo Dan's still probably, for me, the weak link here. I don't think he's had a great deal of game time. The game time we have seen from him, I don't think has been particularly brilliant. They're really sticking with Theo Dan, even though I really did think there was probably some better hookers to go for in England, but Theo Dan going on from that bench. Rest of the replacement forwards, George Martin and Lewis Ludlam coming on in that second half, along with the replacement backs of Danny Kerr, Marcus Smith and Ollie Lawrence. Now, it's really weird because I actually feel like the partnerships, or the halfback partnerships, would be better the other way around. I would rather see Danny Kerr start alongside George Ford. Have your cool head, your organised players, play the game very professionally and see how it is by about 50, 60 minutes. If you're down on the scoreboard by 14 points, you chuck on Marcus Smith and Alex Mitchell. Huge energy, huge buzz of excitement, all about the attack. Go on the offensive and you try and come back from the game. If you're already massively in the lead, maybe you just, you leave them on the bench for a little bit longer. You let the cool heads prevail. I'm not really sure I like the way they've gone about this, because I feel like Alex Mitchell's the youngster, the energetic one who's going to get in there. George Ford's going to probably want to play it kind of slow. And then in the second half, they're going to bring on Marcus Smith, who's ready to go. Let's smash this one out. And then he's going to be partnered with Danny Kerr, who's quite slow at getting the ball out from the back of the ruck. So I'm not sure about that partnership. I might have liked them to have swapped the scrum halves around and had Alex Mitchell and Marcus Smith coming on from the bench. But hey, that's me. You guys can let me know down in the comment section what your thoughts are on the England team. Moving on to Argentina then. Like I said, absolutely smashed Spain in a massive game where they put out their full team. And I thought that was maybe a bit overkill, and the scoreline would suggest it was a bit overkill, but they absolutely crushed that one. And you have to say, they're moving into having a really good team now leading into this World Cup. A lot of players coming back into the team. So we'll have a quick run through. Starting out in that front row, Thomas Gaggio goes in alongside of Julian Montoya and Francisco Gomez Cordella. This, for me, is the starting front row. A couple of people have said, they'd have, Creevy as the starting hooker. I really like Julian Montoya. I'm glad he's sitting there. And Thomas Gaggio, for such a young lad, still making big inroads in the prop department. Scrummaging might be one area. He's going to be going up against Dan Cole. I can see Dan Cole wanting to just get under his skin a bit. Sometimes attitude, penalties can go a little bit against Thomas Gaggio. He cuts it out. His game is superb, but just sometimes his temperament gets a little bit away from him. I can sure, a bit of an older head like Dan Cole might just try and get under his skin a little bit. In the lock department, who else are going to be? It's Alemano and Lavanini. It's what you probably come to expect now if you followed Argentina for the last I don't know, 3 years. It's always these boys. We know what they bring. Again, we could go on about the discipline. There's quite a few players for Argentina. They're a fiery old nation. But yeah, sometimes discipline gets away with them. We've seen red cards going in for this lock department as well in the past. And then finally, in the back row, a very exciting back row that I'm glad to talk about now. Pablo Matera takes the blind side flanker. Marcus Kramer goes back as open side flanker, and Juan Martin Gonzalez goes in the number 8 shirt. Now, this is the big back row. This is about as big as it gets for them. Very glad to see Marcus Kramer getting back into this side. Again, another one with a fiery temper, but if it's held under control, and he just has a solid game and doesn't give away penalties, Marcus Kramer is one of the best players on the field. So really, really looking forward to see how this back row gets on. You'd have to say the back rows are matching up quite nicely, actually. I'm looking forward to see how these lads go at each other. I think there's going to be some big carries into one another between England and Argentina. Really looking forward to see that battle. In the halfback partnership, Bertrand is going in alongside of Santiago Carreras. Now, I've not heard about an injury to Sanchez. I had a quick look. I couldn't see anything to say he's ruled out. But Santiago Carreras getting the nod ahead. Maybe the points from the post, not that much of an issue for your fly half when you've got Boffelli on the team. They're thinking that's absolutely fine. Santiago Carreras probably better overall in terms of your attack, and he works quite well alongside a centre partnership. We've seen them carve through defences in the past as well. So maybe they're going for more of an attacking fly half that's going to be a bit more of a playmaker rather than thinking about your kicking fly half that comes from someone like Sanchez. In your centre partnership, Choco Barres goes in alongside of Lucio Cinti. And then finally in the back three, Mateo Carreras goes in alongside of Boffelli and Juan Cruz Mali. Coming back in off his ban, right? What was his for? He got a red card for something. I can't actually remember what that is off the top of my head. But it's a pretty loaded Argentina team. England might have a couple of insider knowledge on this because a lot of these lads play over in England in terms of the English club level, so they'll be well known to each other. They'll know how the different players want to play, like Lucio Cinti, Julio Montoya, Santiago Carreras. I think they all play over in England, right? There's quite a few of them, so they'll have a bit of knowledge about how they want to go into this game. But this is a pretty stacked looking Argentina team. And then finally, in terms of the replacements, we have Creevy, Sclavy and Bello coming on there in the second half. Guido Petty is on the bench with a new name, Pagdizabal. Hopefully sort of getting that pronounced right. I didn't know he had another name. I just know him as Guido Petty to come on in that replacement lock. And then alongside him in those replacement forwards, Rubiolo and Rodrigo Bruni. So they've gone for the 6-2. There's the intent from Argentina. And England's sort of game plan they've had for the last couple of games in the warm-ups and stuff, how often they gave that ball back to Fiji and just let Fiji run with it. I can imagine Argentina wanting to do something similar. Give us the ball, let the forwards do their thing. There's a lot of big units there. Matera, Kramer, Gonzalez, Rubiolo, Bruni. These are lads that will absolutely love the big carries. England will want to watch out for how much they're kicking the ball in this game. Or if you're choosing your kicks, you at least want them to, really sort of throw off the defence. You want to be finding that space in the backfield. I wouldn't really be looking for so many of the box kicks and stuff because Argentina have players that are also good in the air to catch box kicks. Then you give them the ball back and these lads will run it back at you. So I think that'll be one thing to keep an eye on. And then in terms of your replacement backs, Bazan Velez and Matias Moroni as well. So two massive teams coming into this one. The battle for Group D is absolutely real. What do we think in terms of a score prediction for this one? Well, England for me have looked slightly underwhelming in the World Cup warm-ups. There's every chance they turn this around for this game and they absolutely stamp it down. They've had a couple of weeks to get used to the fact they're not having Farrell Vunipola. They've got into the training. They're going to come in and smash this game. It's going to be a very tactical game and how they want to work it. Argentina discipline can go against them. And, 3 points can be taken. George Ford will be happy to kick those ones over. If Argentina turn up for this game and discipline is kept under wraps and the tackle, rate is very good for them, they just get given the ball and they're just allowed to play, I think we could be seeing a very similar game to what happened with England versus Fiji. In how much I feel like Argentina are going to want to go on the aggressive stance, go more ahead with the ball in hand, carry it up to England. And as long as they back their own breakdown zone, which they've been pretty good at, you're going to mitigate people like Tom Curry and Courtney Laws and Benno from getting over the ball in the jackal. I'm leaning more towards Argentina. I'm leaning more towards Argentina for this one, and maybe not quite a full score. I'm going to say Argentina by 6. That's going to be my prediction for this game, guys. Make sure you drop down your predictions down in the comment section along with your thoughts on the team, because this is a really big game going on this weekend. Of course, make sure you're also getting your predictions and your fantasy team set up on the Fantasy League on the Super Brew, because there's a lot of tough decisions this weekend as well as the next 6 weeks while we go through it all. Lots to go over, lots of rugby stuff. I hope you've all enjoyed this one today, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.